Hakeem had one in 85 when he was 22. Moses Malone, the youngsters don't know how good he was, but look it up, Google it. He did it 3 times in 77 in the postseason when he was even younger. As for this game and how Green bounced back from a shaky beginning to this tremendous show in Game 2.
It was more so mindset. But yeah, that first game, you know, the lights were bright, the crowd was here, the court looked huge. So yeah, I couldn't really get a chance to, you know, settle in. My legs was a little shaky, but you know, that's part of it. Went through it, and you know, I feel like I did it.
Just how critical will his absence or availability be to you, to your estimation, Perk, of which way this series goes?
Well, I mean, we saw it when he got traded there, Scott. Think about it. I mean, before Jimmy Butler got traded there, Steph had one foot in the grave, the other on the banana peel. And all of a sudden, Jimmy Butler gave them life. Jimmy Butler is the Swiss Army knife for this team. He does every single thing you need him to do. He unlocks a different version of Steph Curry, a bona fide second option. If they don't have Jimmy Butler for one of these games or 2 of these games, the Rockets are going to win this series. I strongly believe that this is a confident group, well-coached group by Ime Udoka that hang their hats on the defensive side of things. The Warriors definitely need Jimmy Butler back in Game 3.
I got time for one on Jalen Green. This is a young man who hopefully has a ton of runway in front of him. A performance like we saw in Game 2 after a dud in Game 1 certainly speaks volumes about what he's capable of. What did you see from him this evening?
Again, we saw growth. That's what I saw out of this young man. Look, it's hard, right? I live in the city of Houston. I heard all the chatter around his performance from Game 1. And this young man locked in, stayed even keeled, and came out and put on the performance, right? 38 points in a must-win, right? They needed this win. If they didn't get this win, I felt like Golden State was going to sweep them. And so the outside shooting has always been a problem this season for the Houston Rockets. They ranked 25th or 26th in the league this season at three-point shooting. Jalen Green came out there tonight and put on a hell of a performance, especially with his outside shooting and his shot making that was well needed for the Houston Rockets. And that's going to be needed for the Rockets as they try to go further into the postseason.
Perk, appreciate you. Don't apologize for that, for the background. Tall guys like us like high ceilings. We don't bump your head on the door jamb. That's not a problem in that spot. I like that. I appreciate you, my friend.
Nowhere. You never see him coming, then he just fall from the sky, from a building, behind the door, and does some incredible things, man. He's going to be the reason that we do win it all. We all know that, but we got to protect him at all costs.
All right, Essa, here's what I want to know. Were you more disappointed in Houston's performance or impressed with what Golden State did?
Well, I was disappointed. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from Golden State. What we saw from Steph and Jimmy Butler, however, is something that I expected. What I did not expect was for Houston to shoot 39% from the field. I didn't expect them to shoot 21% from three-point range. I didn't expect Jalen Green. I mean, you got to remember, when it comes to Jalen Green and what this brother brings to the table, he's a preeminent face of the franchise, Shannon. And so what you have to think about, if you're the Houston Rockets, you've got a couple of the picks that the Phoenix Suns, you ultimately got from the Phoenix Suns. You'd love to get that back. There's been rumors about how KD could end up being in Houston because obviously Phoenix needs to recoup, they need to retool, and they've got to find a way to position themselves to get some additional assets for somebody like a KD. Well, if you're Houston, you'd have to give up a player. If you're Jalen Green, you don't want to be in Phoenix, you want to be in Houston with what Ime Udoka is building there. But you show up last night and you wet the bed. You don't get it done. Fred VanVleet's a champion. He doesn't really get it done collectively, shooting the basketball. They don't get it done. We know what they can do defensively. We know they're long. We know they're athletic. The question is, can you put the ball in the hole? This is why the Warriors were picked by so many to win this series, because we knew that when it was time, you've got somebody to get the ball to in Steph Curry. In their case, they've got two individuals, but we did expect Houston to look a little bit better offensively, and that was my only thing, Shannon. I didn't expect them to look this bad offensively. I did not expect them to look this bad offensively. That was my issue, and that's why I say I'm a bit disappointed.
I agree with everything you just said, Stephen A., because I was expecting two of the three best players to play well, and one of them did. Only Sengun showed up and played. Jalen Green did not play well. Thompson did not play well. Fred VanVleet, I don't think he's played well all year. And so when you combine that, we got what you expected from the Golden State Warriors. Everybody expected Steph to show up. That's why they went and got Jimmy Butler. That's why they extended him and gave him 2 years, $120+ million, because they know in moments like this, he doesn't shrink. He rises to the occasion. But I was very disappointed in Houston Rockets, and I think the thing that Rockets is going to learn at some point in time, you're going to have to find a guy that you can put the ball in his hands and he can go get you a bucket. They don't have that. Collectively, they are a very good team. If you look at all the other teams, every other team in the playoffs, with the exception of the Rockets, I believe, has someone that can put the ball in his hands, Stephen A., and they can go get a bucket. They like to, their team is by committee. You have a Jalen Green, you have an Thompson, you have a Sengun, but you don't have one guy. You say, hey, guys, go get this bucket. They don't have that. And last night, I think their inexperience, I think their youth, it showed its ugly head. They're in trouble. They're in trouble because Golden State always felt that they could beat this team. And I don't see any reason why they should lose any confidence. Now, look, gonna have these guys to come back, and they're gonna play well. But I was very disappointed in the Rockets, Stephen A., because I expected them to show me a little more, considering they had the 2 seed wrapped up for almost 2 weeks, and I expected them to come out and play better. Now, they came out, had a little lead, and next thing you know, the Warriors don't miss. Steph Curry takes off, hit a couple of shots falling out of the sky, and they win this game going away, really.
Well, listen, they were down 23. They came back. I give them credit for that. You held Golden State to 95 points. I give them credit for that. But where the indictment against them offensively comes into play, not only did they not shoot well from the field, not only did they not shoot well from three-point range, Molly, they missed 9 of 20 free throws. I mean, come on now. I mean, this is the point.
Anderson, and off the rip, the Rockets, you have to give them credit. Playing great defense there. The start, they played at their pace and held the Warriors to under 100 points for the 5th time in 7 matchups. Rockets, they did their thing tonight, JTA.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I saw a quote from Fred VanVleet after game 1. He said, we had to match their physicality, which I saw that, and I immediately thought that's a different idea of what you guys showed the last time they were here in Golden State and what they showed tonight. They are showing that they're the more physical team. They're overwhelming the Warriors with their physicality. I thought in the first half they really took the Warriors out of, you know, what they do. Made them very indecisive, and I think that just kind of set the tone for the rest of the game.
Okay, yes. This is what I expected. All right, the Houston Rockets are the number 2 seed, and they're not just going to concede their whole season just in the first couple games of the playoffs. And so tonight, the Warriors, after winning the first game, you come into the second game, and this is a game 7, essentially, for the Houston Rockets. Because if you lose this game and you're going back to Golden State, that's a lose-lose. I think in the history of the NBA, every team that's won the first 2 games away has won, what, 95%?
92.6%.
So, yes, so for the Houston Rockets, you saw the sense of urgency. You saw that in the defensive physicality with the Warriors. You saw that in the rebounding efforts. I mean, it's really a shame that the Warriors lost Jimmy Butler tonight, because that really showed with the Warriors. So on one hand, the Houston Rockets are playing physical, but on the other hand, the Warriors had their worst, probably one of their worst offensive outputs of the season. Both those together caused this loss.
Yeah, Bonta, what you said to start the show here was they got their split. That's the number one thing. That's a great thing for the Warriors. Now, the biggest story is Jimmy Butler's injury. Can he come back for game 3? But we've seen a pattern here. This Rockets team has been able to set the style of play and pace of play, holding the Warriors under 100 points several times
in 7 matchups.
Okay, so that's what they've established. And they've got the 2 seed by playing physical, athletic defense and then having spurts of offense. They're not a great offensive team, but tonight that spurt was all about Jalen Green. After coming off a 3 for 15 game, he gets 38. So that's kind of that's their formula. Play solid defense all the time, and can we get enough offense? Tonight they did. But the biggest reason why was because Jimmy Butler got hurt.
Well, let's review the plays.
Dudes in the league. If you see him play through all sorts of injuries, so if he walks off the game, you know that this is a really painful experience for him. The Warriors missed Jimmy Butler all night long. They stayed on the 3-point line the whole time. Right. Jimmy Butler is the guy that goes inside, he gets the layups, that opens things up from the 3-point line as well. So even with a good offensive output from the 3-point line, you need the inside. It just shows the importance of Jimmy Butler.
Right, and I think it's an unfortunate injury, right? There are some injuries you can play through. pelvic contusions, you can't play through those, no matter how tough you are. So hopefully he bounces back. And as Fezzi said, you know, we saw what missing Jimmy does to the Warriors. You're shooting a lot of threes. You're not dominating in the mid-range, getting to the foul line, putting pressure on the rim. There wasn't a lot of pressure on the rim at all in that second half, and I thought that's what they were missing.
No balance to the offense, Willie. 43 of their 80 field goal attempts coming from the three-point line. I would love to look at that play again because Steven Adams, Draymond Green, they're all tangled up, going for a rebound. I'm with you. I don't think Thompson
Why do you
is
want
a
to see
dirty
that
player.
again?
Well, not just because
this.
everybody's talking about it. And
He could have landed on his wrist. You've seen that with Andrew Bogut. He could have so all these things are a factor. That was actually the best case scenario in that situation.
Yeah, I agree. No
we'll
broken bones, just a contusion.
We'll see what the MRI says, Mark. Go ahead.
Good. So they'll get well, but Jimmy Butler. But another trend, Bonte, we talked about this pregame, you know, holding the Warriors into 100. Now, last game they had 20 assists and won. Tonight, just 21 assists. So the Rockets have figured out how to take out the ball movement and the body movement. I think a lot had to do without Jimmy Butler tonight, of course.